Religious and community leaders and residents gathered at Spirit Catcher in Barrie for a protest called Loaves Fishes, Call to Compassion against Bill 110. The event was organized in opposition to recent City of Barrie bylaw that restrict the distribution of food and the use of temporary shelters on public property. While the city later clarified that sharing food is not prohibited, organizers expressed broader concerns about the bylaw's implications. Participants distributed food and drinks in a symbolic act of resistance against the bylaw provisions. Lawrence Leger, pastor of St. Mary's Parish, told Simcoe Community Media that parish has been supporting people experiencing homelessness. He emphasized that acts like offering food or water are not merely charitable gestures, but expression of compassion and a core part of living out one's faith.
Certainly a large number of people who come with the same heart to be able to feed the hungry, to be able to care for those who are less fortunate, but also just to care for one another. As brothers and sisters, we're called to care for one another. And so by offering a sandwich, by offering a piece of food, a drink of water, we're able to respond to the need in our community to be people of compassion, to be people who care and are kind. So people asked me at the symposium, were our elected officials invited? No, they knew about the forum, they knew about the symposium, but they decided not to come. This time we invited the city councillors and the mayor. Their absence speaks volumes.
Susan Eagle, minister at Grace United Church, highlighted the importance of community compassion and shared responsibility in addressing homelessness in Barrie.
You know, people are really committed when there is rain and the threat of thunder and lightning, and we're all prepared to stand right here and to give witness to the need to care for people. My message is we look forward to having some further dialogue with our elected leaders about how we move forward together as a community and how we all pitch in to make it happen, because it takes all of us, not just volunteers and churches, but politicians as well and policymakers. So it's going to take all of us to solve this problem. So I look forward to being around the table with them.
Following are our interviews and coverage of the protest.
So before we leave today, we're going to invite you to start handing food to each other and sharing it, and any left is going to go to one of the encampments. But before we do that, we want you to acknowledge your neighbor, because as I look around, I see people here from many different churches, also from many different community groups and neighborhoods, and people who have just come out because they care. So it's really important that we acknowledge each other today in this space. So I'm going to pass the megaphone over to Father Larry, the megaphone. Before we do that, and hey, it is not raining.
We gather with great hope in this Jubilee year 2025. We also gather as people of compassion, caring for one another, caring for the least among us. Jesus said, whatever you do to the least of my brothers or sisters, you do to me. The book of Deuteronomy reminds us that we are to treat the person who is in our midst, the foreigner, the alien, as justly and as properly as one of our own. And the Quran also speaks of living in kindness. And so we come, people from different faiths and different traditions, recognizing that God is the one who creates each one of us. And so we give thanks to God.
So this idea came out of a little moment I had where I thought to myself, I couldn't imagine Jesus asking the Romans for authority to feed 5,000 people. I couldn't imagine Jesus asking the Sanhedrin if they minded if he healed anybody on the Sabbath. And the bylaw in its original draft 2 years ago would have made those things formidable in the city of Barrie. My concern is that the redraft and the reintroduction of a previous Brown law was so ambiguous that it gave the possibility of those things being real. And so we designed this idea around that simple fact that we're just going to feed each other. That's it. We're going to treat ourselves as a common community who offers hospitality, and that hospitality starts with us and extends to others. So you've been invited here today. Hopefully you brought something with you to share with somebody else. And the idea is just simply to give it to whoever you want to give it to. If you feel so inclined, you might also just simply turn to somebody and say, hey, what are you doing after this? Do you want to join me for a cup of coffee? Or a beer at the brewery? Or something of that nature? Then do that. If there's somebody here that you thought, hey, I'd like to get to know you and have a conversation with, please feel free to do that as well, in that hospitable fashion too. So the simple act of defiance of saying, we're here for the common good, let's share it. If you've brought food with you, hand it out. Feel gracious enough to take some. Thank you very much indeed.
St. Mary's Parish has been involved with Out of the Cold before even the Busby Centre as a shelter existed. We have been a committed parish to caring for our brothers and sisters, caring for all of those who are the least fortunate in Barrie. And I stand on the shoulders of many people who have gone before me, and I'm appreciative of that. I also, read the 25th chapter of Matthew's Gospel that reminds us that whenever we serve, feed the hungry, give drink to the thirsty, when we visit the sick and imprisoned, when we clothe the naked, when we welcome the stranger, whenever we do that to the least of these, we're doing it to the Lord Jesus. And so that's my motivation to be able to do this, because it's my call as a Christian. It's my call as a faithful disciple of Jesus Christ. So maybe not as many people as the symposium had, but certainly a large number of people who come with the same heart to be able to feed the hungry, to be able to care for those who are less fortunate, but also just to care for one another. As brothers and sisters, we're called to care for one another. And so by offering a sandwich, by offering a piece of food, a drink of water, we're able to respond to the need in our community to be people of compassion, to be people who care and are kind.
Just last question about any message to our elected representative at the city hall, at the provincial level.
So people asked me at the symposium, were our elected officials invited? No, they knew about the forum, they knew about the symposium, but they decided not to come. This time we invited the city councillors and the mayor. Their absence speaks volumes.
Well, again, the question has come up about the use of public property for people who are vulnerable and homeless. And again, the City Council had it before them as a discussion, and yet the public's not being consulted about that. And we want to make sure that the City Council realizes there's a lot of people who believe that public space is for the public, and that homeless or unhoused people are part of our population, they're part of our community. We're concerned if they get targeted in our city. And so therefore we all came out today to say we're a community together. We need to share food, we need to find housing for people, we need to show respect for all our citizens, because we are all citizens, and what we build together has to be for the whole community.
The city, gave the clarification. The bill was passed on October 1st. The clarification came 14 days later, that people are allowed, to distribute the food on public property. Is there still a broader concern after the?
Well, the bylaw still says that it shouldn't happen. It just says you won't be prosecuted if you do. I would like to see that part gone. Also, it calls for no tents and tarps, and we know that heading into the winter, where there is not enough shelter for people, that people are going to need tents and tarps. So I am hoping that we can have a conversation with the City Council about what they're doing to make sure there is more shelter for folks, and also to acknowledge that there are folks who will need tents and tarps this winter in order to survive. I'm motivated. You see, I wear a clerical collar. I am motivated by being a person who's connected to the Christian faith, the United Church of Canada. I grew up learning the social gospel, which calls us to build a community for everyone. That is really the call of God to all of us to care for neighbor. And so that's very, very important to me. And I was delighted today to see so many people from churches, people from no churches, but people who understand what it is to care for neighbor. Here, please help yourself. There's cheese there too. Take care, my friend. You know, people are really committed when there is rain and the threat of thunder and lightning, and we're all prepared to stand right here and to give witness to the need to care for people.
And then any final message you have for our elected representative, whether at the City Hall,
Well,
federal or provincial level?
I guess my message is we look forward to having some further dialogue with our elected leaders about how we move forward together as a community and how we all pitch in to make it happen, because it takes all of us, not just volunteers and churches, but politicians as well and policymakers. So it's going to take all of us to solve this problem. So I look forward to being around the table with them.
Before we start handing stuff out, we would like to do a group picture.